My name is Joe. I'm 88 and getting towards 89, and I live in a small desert town. I came originally from the southeast, like Brighton and London, and I moved down here, and I have lived in Cornwall for quite part of that time. I can't remember when it was I came down here. About 40 years ago, I think. No, less than that. I thought, as I say, I was happy in the bungalow I lived in, but I was very friendly with a mobile support officer, and she said about moving into Axminster because there was a lot more going on. There was the Awareness Centre, which was the My Body Spirit Centre, just round the corner. And I moved into this flat, and it was a ground floor flat. There was no garden, but what garden there was communal. And above me was, there was about 8 flats above me, and there was a lift right above me as well. I was after the electronic door in the main lift, which is always being opened and shut, and a ramp outside where I live. And for some reason, the person who lived upstairs, she and her husband, she used to pop down for a cup of tea on the side in the beginning, and so did one or two others on the side. But one day I had a couple of friends there, and we were having a cup of coffee in the morning, and she just walked in. And for some reason, now the three of us were quietly spoken, quietly dressed, and she was a person who shouted a lot, swore a lot, quite different from us. And for some reason, she didn't say a word, she just stared at us. I walked out and slammed the door. For that reason, I think she would have said that I was too posh to live there. I should live in the council accommodation because I was too posh. And I got a posh voice, which was absolutely ridiculous. I didn't have a local voice, I didn't have a posh voice. And from that time on, she took her carpets up. So she was walking and slamming about on really heavy on wooden floors. And every night her nephew came in about midnight, always at midnight. He put up some sort of bed and made a lot of noise doing that. He put the television on right above me. He would run the water. And she was a woman who was really, because there was about 26 flats there, and she was everywhere, and she sort of ran the whole place. She knew everybody, and she was always shouting out of the window at people and making a lot of noise and swearing a lot, and everybody sort of did what she wanted them to. And then it just got worse and worse. It was impossible to explain how bad it was. I couldn't sleep at night, and then she got involved with a man who lived in the floor above her, and he was called down, and he was a drug addict. He'd been to court for selling drugs where we lived. And he was about 40, I was 85, 86, 87 at the time. And he took this up, and for some reason decided to make it even worse. I can't begin to tell you, I had manure put over my windows, I had a rat put on my windowsill, a tame rat, which tried to get in, and it didn't want to go away, it wanted to come in, and a local cat came and killed it. It was horrible. At some time I must have said out loud, I hate big rat survivors, very often I get up in the morning and there was a big black spider and in my hallway, and it would come through my letterbox, and sometimes there were 5 of them, just hanging off my letterbox and things like that. They couldn't find anything more. They swore when I went up down the ramp. I spent 4.5 years, much of that time, behind closed windows. It was all night long, every night. It was absolutely impossible to explain exactly how bad it was. If I walked up the ramp, I was smaller. They could put their cars, there was an area of grass right outside my place, and then where you walked out of the front door, that was where you could put your cars. And they would put their cars so I could get out. And when a friend came, if a friend came, they would put their cars round it so they could get out. And there was a car park outside, and my friends used to have to go pay for the car park. And they was never trying to. And it just went on. I can't begin to tell you. I was abused in every special way. They were using these flats, and then there was some sort of unit for girls who had been in trouble. I don't really know what it was, but they were putting that had shut down, and they were putting these girls there, and they were all very difficult, and they joined in with it all. And the worst thing of all, it was a council flat, and the council, East Devon District Council, it condoned what was happening. They didn't help it. They wouldn't listen to me. The one MSO who said I should go and live there, and she disappeared. She left all of a sudden, and so I didn't have anyone on my side. And it was really very difficult, and it was also I couldn't sleep at night. They would do anything they could. He had a dog, and he'd come outside the windows at 1:30 in the morning and make a dog bark where I was sleeping or trying to sleep. I can't tell you the many, many things they thought of doing to upset me. And it turned out that actually the whole block was like that. And nobody ever spoke to me, nobody was nice to me, nobody thought to be on my side, and these MSOs were absolutely terrible. They said I was aggressive, and they wouldn't come and see me. They were supposed to come and see me once a week for 10 minutes, half an hour or something. And they said I was aggressive, which I wasn't, but I was complaining about what happened. Everywhere I tried, the police, and in fact I had the police come because I was suicidal at times. And twice the police came because I was so suicidal. I was on their watch list for suicide, so when I felt really bad I could phone them up. And they sent ambulances to me at least twice. But nobody really, I tried counsellors, I tried the police to get help, and I couldn't get help from anyone. And the council just felt that I was a nuisance to them, that it was all my fault. Everything that happened, it was all my fault. Anyway, that's how it went on, and I was there for 4.5 years. And it wasn't until, during that time, I did have the Divine Clinic with me. I was aware of them. They came about once every 3 months or something like that. They didn't come very often.
Okay.
And I did feel, as I said, it was sort of all sorts of mind, body, spirit things that had little articles in it, and various things like that. And then a few adverts, not very many. And and I felt drawn to your advert, and I rang you up or rang somebody up. And from that time, I felt you were with me, you were there. That's the feeling I got, that there was somebody there listening to me and willing to help me.
Changed.
I felt that there was someone there on my side, someone who was listening to me, someone who was helping me. That's what I felt about it. And that, and also I had all the physical things. And one thing I had, things just go up, like Crohn's disease, very, very seriously. And I was in and out of hospital before. When I lived in Upright, I was in and out of hospital. I had that was Dorchester Hospital. And I was really very ill with it. But it has lessened a lot. So although I'm still considered to have Crohn's disease, which I do. Crohn's disease is when you have lots of flare-ups. I used to be very sick as well. And it would take over your life. Once you had a bad flare-up, you finished for the day, really. And it was nearly every day at one time. And it was, when I moved to that flat, I still had it very badly. But not as bad as it had been, but also the doctors I went to, the surgery I went to, weren't very interested in it, whereas they didn't give me much help with it or anything like that. Didn't put me in hospital like I had gone to a lot. I used to see a consultant every month in Dorchester, and then here didn't see anybody at all. I used to have things called colonoscopies, and I used to have them every 3 months because I was very close to having cancer. That is the whole thing, that when it's developed like this, you can develop bowel cancer very easily. But they didn't see, so when I moved into Westminster, they didn't take much notice of it at all. I did go and see a consultant a few times in the Exeter Hospital, but that didn't go. And of course, a lot of things stopped with COVID, so but it has got a lot better. It really has got a lot better. I rarely have a bad flare now, but I still can't. Between you and me, I have to use enemas. If I'm going out, I have to make sure my stomach's empty.
Yeah.
Because I have to. If you need to go to the toilet, you have to go that time, that moment. Yes, after the cleansing, it definitely got ever such a lot better. Everything got a lot better. And I was moved from the bungalow, from the flat, to a really nice bungalow. And it was all beautifully clean, which was so nice, and it had been modernised. It was nice and very quiet. I'm attached on one side to somebody, a lady who doesn't bother to speak to me or anything, but she is so very quiet. I don't hear anything from her. And then the lady next door, there's a wall and then a fence. So we're about 8 foot. I can't see it because she's slightly higher than me. We're on a slight hill. So I don't see her, but she does phone me up sometimes. She's a very disabled lady in an electric wheelchair, and it's taken a long time that we've become friendly. And people locally, although it's a big council estate, it's very, very quiet. when I'm in the garden, people will talk to me. And I have my lovely Megan helper as well. And Margaret has a garden now. The council promised to put a fence up between me and next door. If she got into next door's garden, she could get into the road. She was a cat that hadn't been out at all for 4.5 years. And she's old. I was really worried about her. It took them 8 months for the council to decide they weren't going to put a fence up. And I had to put it up. And I could have done that. I had the money. I could have put it done right at the beginning. But that's what they're like with me. That's how they behave. And then now she could go out in the garden. And there's net above the fence so she can't climb up the fence. Because she's very agile for her. Yeah. Well, I think it has helped a lot with the crows, the water, because my tummy, I have to be careful about this, Mara, because I get a pension because I have this illness, which means I've got to have special food, and I can't drink ordinary milk. I have to drink milk that's £2.20 a litre. And I'm a vegetarian anyway, but apart from that, I have to use taxis and I have to have a carer. The water has helped me because obviously when I came here, I was still, the crows had diminished a bit and quite a bit, I suppose, because I had it so seriously. I was losing blood. I could lose about a pint of blood a day. And it was I was in a really bad way with it. And it makes you feel ill and tired all the time and depressed. And it's not a very, it's not a very pretty thing to see. You have to keep going to the toilet and opening your mouth all the time. And it's very painful. I can tell you it's extremely painful at times. But I don't have it. I don't have it anywhere near me. So I'm very aware of it. But it's nowhere near as bad. I don't get the pain and the blood loss and all that sort of thing. It did help a lot drinking the water. Because, as I say, I have very little problems. And I'm still active at times. Sometimes, before this mammoth garden thing, I had 2 days after Megan went. She went on the Friday and I thought, Saturday I couldn't be out there. And I didn't do a thing. Sometimes I feel the Divine Clinic has helped me a lot. And it's sort of like, it's there. It's behind me. It's with me. I might have things happen that are very nice or something like that, but they are there, they're on my side. That's what I feel about them. And I do talk to you. I talk to you, not on the phone, but I might tell you things myself. And I think you're listening and hearing me. I feel like you're a presence. You're not just somebody on the phone. I feel much more you and the guru is like you're a presence in my life. It's hard to explain really, but I don't think you're miles and miles and miles away. You're sort of not exactly here, but and if I needed you suddenly, I think you're always available, which is really good.